Hey friends, welcome to my channel. This video is a little bit of a heavier topic. Hopefully learn from my experiences so you don't have to go through them. Or if you are going through something similar, I'm really sorry that you are. But I hope that this video gives you some encouragement that things will get better. I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Today I've been trying to kind of not think about what today is. Today marks 1 year since I decided to get divorced. It's so crazy that it's been an entire year. So much has happened in this year. It's insane. I guess I'll just kind of go into what happened that day. My ex-husband and we fought a lot. Honestly, we couldn't be in the same room together without fighting, which was really not fun. So we had gotten into a fight that day. We'd had a fight 2 days prior that was also pretty big. And I had taken him to work that day. I guess I'll just tell you what that was about. I had been asking him to move our bed to be closer to the bathrooms, like turn it from this way to this way. And he just hadn't been doing it, so I was like, can we please do this? Like, we need to get this done before she comes. I was pregnant. And he was like, okay, fine. And I was like, I can't help you actually move it, but I will help you move this stuff. And he just kind of stormed off and went into the room and closed the door behind him. And I was like, I can help you. Like, why won't you let me help you? And he's like, because you said you can't move the bed. And I was like, okay. I got really emotional and went and sat on the couch and cried. I kind of just sat there, felt my feelings. I think I watched a little YouTube or something. And then he came out. I was like, it's done. And then left. Went out the back door. And he was like, I'm moving on a run. I was like, okay. Great talk. And, I was just, I don't know. I just wasn't gonna chase him. Wasn't gonna make him talk to me. I shut down, frankly. Which is what I did a lot in the marriage. It's what I do in conflict, no matter who it's with. That day, after his run, he'd been out for maybe 15 minutes, and he called me and asked if I'd give him a ride to work because we only had one car at the time. And so I picked him up and took him to work. And on the way there, he was like, I feel like everything's on me. He's being manipulative. For about a month prior to this fight, we had been fighting about money and him wanting me to get a second job. And I was like, I'm not getting a second job. I am a month away from giving birth. It's not happening. So I get why he was saying he felt like everything was on him. Financially, yes, but he didn't do anything around the house. It took him forever to fix the bed or to move it. I had asked him to set up the stroller prior to that. I ended up doing it myself because he wouldn't do it. The one thing he helped with was move the crib and set it up. But granted, we had just moved into the apartment 2 months prior. Anywho, so I feel so bad saying this. I totally didn't have the right mindset. But in the moment when he said that everything was on him, I straight up had to bite my tongue because I wanted to laugh out loud. I was like, no, not everything is on you, bro. This is a joint effort. I'm the one carrying this child and you don't seem to give two craps about that. The physical burden of it. And so, another preface. I'm just kind of sharing a little bit of the reasons we got divorced. In January, here where I live now with my parents, we were here having dinner we needed to leave early so that I could go to work in the morning. I had to go to bed at 8 o'clock. I still do. And so we needed to leave. It took us a minute to like get going. My sister had paid him, I think 70, 90 bucks, something like that in cash for the rest of her payment to buy his Xbox. And I had been carrying around the cash in my pocket because she handed it to me as she was leaving for work. And all day long he was like, Amy, do you have the money? Amy, do you have the money? Amy, do you have the money? And I was like, yes, I have the money. Like, he was so afraid that I had it and he didn't have it. Like, an hour before we left, he came up to me and was like, can I have the money? And I was like, fine. So I just handed it to him. So as we were leaving, we had gotten this second car in like November. And I asked him, I was like, hey, can we go to the ATM and put some cash into my account so I can get gas in the morning? And he said, you can't do that. And I was like, yeah, you can. I've done it several times. You can put cash into the ATM. He was like, no, that's not a thing. And I was like, yes, it is. And he was like, no, it's not. And I was like, okay, well, then can I just have like 10 bucks to put gas in my car? And he said, no, you don't need gas. And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, I may have enough gas for tomorrow, but I'll need gas the next day. And he was like, no, you have to wait till Thursday. And I was like, you have 70, 90, however many dollars in your pocket. Like, you can give me $10. And he just said no. And so I punched him in the arm. I was so mad. And he turned to me and said, get out of my car. I was like, no, I'm not getting out of the car. He backed out of the driveway and started driving down the road. We were continuing to talk and he was like, get out of my car. Like, he stopped and said that. And I was like, no, I pay for this car too. I'm not getting out of it. It's not just your car, it's mine too. And he just got so mad. He turned the car around and pulled back into the driveway. He got right up in my face and said, get out of my effing car. And so I did, sobbing. And walked inside and just flat out told my family, I need a ride home, just left me. And they were like, well, like, as I was like really distraught when I walked in the door, so they were all like, oh, what happened? Told them, and they were like, what? Like, they were not happy. So I'm like standing there by the front door telling them what happened, and he walks in, doesn't acknowledge me, doesn't even like look at me, walks in and says, does anyone see my wallet? And my mom says, yeah, I saw you put 70 bucks in it and then leave. He was like, okay. And then he just like started walking around looking for it. And as he was walking out the door, my dad said, hey, can we sit down and talk about what happened? And he said, there's nothing to talk about. I didn't do anything wrong. He left. And then a few minutes later, he walks back in, doesn't say anything, doesn't look at me, doesn't acknowledge me at all. All he said was, I found my wallet, thanks for helping me look for it, and then left. Did not even acknowledge that I was there. So that was our fight in January. It was like 8 p.m. I have to leave for work. I had to wake up at 4. I stayed at this house from 8 o'clock to 4 a.m. I called his mom. I talked to my mom. I talked to my sister, my dad. I talked to everyone. I called his mom not to tattle, but to be like, you need to understand both sides of the story. He's going to tell you one thing. This is what actually happened. You can talk to my mom for proof. I told her a lot of other things that were going on that she was unaware of. And her advice to me was go home, write a note to him, tape it on the door. He was sleeping in the garage because he had a couch out there. And so I did. When I got home, I wrote a note that said basically like, I forgive you for what you did and I love you. And I will never forget this. I was in the bedroom. He came in and went to the bathroom. Didn't even acknowledge I was there. And when he was going back out to the garage, he rips the note off the wall and says, "You forgive me? I didn't do anything wrong." And I was like, "You left me and your unborn child. You stranded us." He was like, "Well, I didn't leave you on the side of the road." And I was like, "Yeah, that's true, but you still left us." Big old fight. I talked to my bishop too. My mom and my bishop were both like, "Are you sure you want to stay married? Like, you don't deserve to be treated that way." And I had came to the conclusion, I myself will not choose to get divorced. If we get divorced, that is a decision we make together. So that happened in January. Everyone was like, "You need to get divorced." I was like, "It's not happening. If it does, it'll be a mutual decision." Fast forward through tolerance and continued fighting and meeting with the bishop, and things still not going anywhere. I had been asking him to do like marriage therapy. Our bishop was willing to pay for marriage therapy. Nothing. His mom even was willing to pay. But in order for her to pay, he had to set it up because he was on her insurance. I couldn't do it, she couldn't do it. He had to do it. And he never did. So that proved he didn't want to, obviously. Just so many tense moments. I think we went on one date. Actually, we went on 2 dates prior to this decision to get divorced. One, we, I think, went out to dinner. Just the two of us, and then we came home and played card games, and it was like playing games with a stranger. Like, we hardly talked. I think he was trying, but I myself was just too closed off to care. I was in survival mode, to put it honestly. So we had our big fight 2 days before. We had gone on a group date 3 days before with some of our good friends, and it was just super awkward. He was trying to control everything. He was trying to... One of the things that bugged me the most about him is he had to be right about everything. Everything. And he was trying to help us, and I was like, "I don't want your help. I want to figure this out on our own. We don't need you to tell us how to do it." And I was even mad because he was right. Ugh. Anywho, so fast forward to the day we decided to get divorced. Our bishop had invited us to read 2 scriptures a day, 2 verses of scripture a day, and to pray together, and to write notes on like the mirror on a sticky note or something for each other. He never did the notes thing, like maybe twice. I would write notes, but he would never write any back, or rarely. Reading 2 verses was like, it hardly ever happened, and I was always the one facilitating it. Prayer. That was... In the beginning of our marriage, he was a rock star at that. With all of it. And then he wasn't, and I had to be the one to get us to do it. I had just gone home from work. He was about to leave for work. I was like, "Hey, can we say a prayer before you leave?" And he said, "Make it quick." And so I said a quick prayer. And when we stood up to like say goodbye, I was like, "Why do you always say that?" Well, I don't remember what his response was, but we just got into this fight. A very typical thing when we fought was I would say something I was unhappy with. He would say, "Well, then leave." And I would say, "Well, do you even want to be married then?" And his normal response was yes. That time, he didn't say anything. Not a word. He just put his hat on and walked out the door. I cried. I mean, I was crying during the fight too, but... And then I went in my room and I called one of my friends who had recently gone through a divorce, and I asked her for advice, like what she would have done to save her marriage. And right after, like less than a minute after I got off the phone with her, he called me at work, which was very rare that he would ever talk to me while he was at work, whether that be a phone call or a text. So he called me, crying, and he told me that he thinks that we should get a divorce. And we continued to talk a little bit. It was sadly one of the most calm conversations we've ever had. He said that on his way to work, he took off his wedding ring and he threw it on the dashboard. But yeah, he said he talked to some of his coworkers about what had been going on, and then he called me. He actually came home from work early, a few hours after that, and we sat in our living room on opposite sides of our sectional and talked about divorce. We talked about a few things, and we both thought it was really weird that that was the one conversation in probably 6 months that was like about an impactful subject that we didn't fight during. The one thing we had agreed on. So yeah, that was our decision to get divorced. And he told me when we were on the phone that he had been thinking about divorce since January, since that fight here. And I told him the same thing, that I had just been waiting for him to bring it up because I was too afraid, basically. I had asked this friend to send me the link of like how she did it and never did, so we ended up wasting $500, which was really bummer, on this website that didn't do jack. And then I eventually found the correct website, and then I don't remember how much it was, to be honest, but we did everything ourselves. I had a lot of family giving me input, and I guess I'll just be honest here. We had that car that we had gotten in November. We had repossessed it, or like voluntarily repossessed it, because we were going under with it. And that's why we only had one car in January. We were borrowing my parents' car, and I was getting rides to work during that time. So we had this debt from this car that we didn't have anymore. And everyone in my family said, put it on him. It was his decision to do it. Put it on him. You don't need to deal with it. And so I did. I put it in the divorce. I split up every debt that he brought into the marriage, every debt I brought into the marriage, and then we split up everything that we had gotten together. The thing is, he had a motorcycle and a truck. He was able to sell those vehicles and get out of the debt. Me, I had debt from a car I didn't own. I had nothing to show for the debt. And so when I had put that in the divorce, he called me just hysterical, crying. He's like, I can't afford this. I can't pay this. Like, I cannot do it. I'd let him manipulate me, which the whole process, I was just done. I just wanted to be done. I didn't want it to take forever. I just wanted to be done. And so I didn't fight for myself. And I wish I would have. I really wish I would have. It has been one of the hardest things to realize that I let him manipulate me in that I didn't stick up for myself. Even now, it's hard to stick up for myself when he says things. We definitely don't fight near as much as we did, even after the divorce. I guess during the divorce process itself, which wasn't final till June, so from March to June. That whole process, I let him just bully me. And a lot of stuff happened within that time. We had a baby, which I am doing a whole separate video about that. I'll do one about the pregnancy itself, and then another one about her birth, which I'm super excited to talk about for her 1 year, which is in a month. Can't believe our baby's a year old soon. Blows my mind, but she's been the silver lining to everything. So that was basically why we decided to get divorced. I will say, like, the two reasons that are statistically proven, sex and money, those were big reasons. Money was huge. We had a lot of debt and not a lot of money or things to show for it. And our sex life was rough. I was the higher desire partner, which is fine, whoever is, but he also struggled with pornography. And so being the high desire person and being turned down, and having pornography chosen over me was a doozy. Really, really difficult. I can't even remember how many times I would get a text at work or when I wasn't around him saying he'd mess up. And on top of that, the times that we had planned on being intimate that night, and he texted me saying he messed up. And then sometimes he still expected it. There were a few times we still did, but for me, emotionally, it was never good. In full honesty, to me, myself, I feel like on our 1-year anniversary, July of 2020, is when our sex life, started going really downhill. That was to be honest, one of the worst sexual encounters we'd had was on our anniversary, which really sucked. And then pregnancy threw a whole curve in that, and he ended up telling me to my face. This was after things were really bad, by the way, which doesn't make it okay, but he told me to my face that he was unattracted to me anymore because I didn't look like I did before I got pregnant. Granted, I was 8 months pregnant at the time. Not great for your mental and emotional health. Please don't be like that, men watching this. Please do not be like that to your wives. It's very, very disrespectful and very hurtful. I had already been feeling really crappy about myself because I gained a lot more weight than I wanted to. Then he threw that in my face. We're not married anymore, thank goodness. It's been weird, with the divorce being over, honestly, just since probably October, things have been okay. We don't fight. Granted, we don't really talk. But, I don't know, we fought a lot even about the baby, in the beginning, and but that's not a thing anymore. And I hope I never fight over her again, or about her, or anything. But I plan to do a video closer to the date of my divorce about things I've learned since being divorced, that year mark of being actually divorced. I think this video kind of portrayed animosity towards my ex-husband. There definitely is a lot. At this current moment, who he is right now, the relationship right now, I don't hate him. I don't love him. I don't like him, but I don't hate him. But me telling you these things that I hated him then. I really, really hated him. I didn't love him. I wish I could say I knew when I stopped loving him, but I can't. I came to resent him and frankly hate him. I hated him. I hate who he was, and I hope he never becomes that person again. I truly hope if he dates or gets married again, he treats that woman a lot better. No one deserves to be treated the way I was. He was a narcissist, and I hope he changes. I really do. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this and that it helped you in some way. Or maybe you know someone that it could help. If you could send it to them. Help them through a hard time that they may be going through. I would appreciate that. Please subscribe, give this video a like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.